Welcome back everyone, and in today's video lesson we are going to look at what are inversions. Inversions are just going to be really arranging the note order. So let's look at an example with numbers first so that we understand it. And so if I had a set of numbers, right, so let's say if I look at 1, 2, 3, and 4, just basic numbers, and we're going to invert those numbers, and I could actually invert this to be maybe, how about something like this, 2, 3, 4, 1. I could also do this as 3, 4, 1, 2, or possibly 4, 1, 2, 3. And if I continue to do this, eventually I'm going to end up with the same set that I started with earlier. And so you can see that this 1, 2, 3, 4 matches with this 1, 2, 3, 4, just as we continue to invert. Now let's look at an actual example with notes. Here I have the C major scale written out, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And if I were to go ahead and number this, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now the C major chord is going to be built up using 1, 3, and 5, and so that would lead us to the conclusion that we're going to have C, E, and G in our chord. So the C major chord is built up of those three notes, C, E, and G. Now the C major chord is traditionally built in this order, C, E, and then G, but it doesn't have to be. And so we could actually invert these notes, and so if I had C, E, and G, well I could say, well, gosh, what if I had E, G, and C? Could that be a C major chord? Or what if I had G, C, and E? And of course, if I invert it again, I'd get C, E, and G. And the answer to all of these would be yes. Yes, these are chords. They're chords. And we could actually go even a step further with that. And you go, well, what if I had maybe a 4-note chord? And what if these were like way out of order? Or what if I did E, C, and G, which is not listed on here, right? It's not listed as one of these guys. And the answer is still yes. You have to recognize that that is a chord out of order, because if I don't, I'm going to end up having some serious problems about how I build this chord, because we really want our chords to be tertian. And so let me show you what I mean by that idea about chords having to be tertian. We recognize that if it is a C major chord, that we have 1, 3, and 5, right? So 1, 3, and 5. And you can see that that's very tertian. It's skipping every other scale degree. Very, very tertian. So what if I decided, oh, you know what? Let's build this from the G major scale. All right, so G, and here's what that would look like. F sharp, and going back to G. All right, and so I know that I have a G, I have a C, and I have an E. Well, to me, that doesn't look very tertian, because here I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so I end up with this chord that you go 1, 4, and 6. Is that an actual chord? And the answer is yeah, you could come up with a name for it, but it's not the most simplest name. And so if you came up with a name and you came up to somebody and you go, hey, I found a chord and I'm going to go ahead and call this G sus4 add 13 or something like that, people are going to laugh at you. They're going to go, that's a C major. You're way overcomplicating that. So what happened here? Well, the problem is that you saw the chord in order and you looked at it. Maybe it was played in this order. Maybe the order that you saw it in on the piano or the guitar, you saw it as G was on the bottom, C was in the middle, and E was on the top. And you go, well, then that must mean that G is my root note. And the answer is no, because we can do inversions. We can flip these chords around. And so if you came around and you told somebody, hey, I found this chord, it's G sus4 add 13, they're going to go, yeah, no, you're wrong. It's a C major. You're just really overcomplicating it. And so it's up to you. You have to visualize this. You have to go, well, let me see. What if I played around with this and I kind of started flipping these notes out of order? Would that change anything? And the answer is yes, it would. And as we discovered, we're going to end up with C major, which is a far more simpler chord title.